Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavad-gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Chapter 2, text 44. Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam tayapahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. Verse translation: in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Purport: Samadhi means fixed mind. Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti, says, Samyag adhiyate smin atmatatmyam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in Samadhi. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyments and bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy. This verse, Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam tayapahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. This verse was formerly widely quoted within our ISKCON society. Nowadays, not so much. In the early days, of course, early, this is a relative term. Often we refer to the early days of ISKCON as being 1966 to 68, approximately. But from the perspective of those who are coming to this movement now, I also joined in the early days, in 1975. And at that time, there was much emphasis on surrender, enthusiasm to serve, to completely get free from this material world and go back to home in this life. The idea that we have to be Krishna conscious now, and we can do it. We have to become fully detached from this material world. Of course, the movement has changed quite a lot in many ways since then. In those days, our movement was mostly monastic. That means most of the members were not married. They were living in the ashram, both men and women, separately, of course. Most of the members were young, enthusiastic, youthful enthusiasm. May not have been fully on the spiritual platform. The test of enthusiasm is that it is maintained. Spiritual enthusiasm doesn't go up and down like the enthusiasm of a what is that called? Bipolar. Sometimes very enthusiastic and sometimes very depressed, but is maintained by firmness in devotional service. So the youthful enthusiasm faded, and reality, as we perceive it from our perspective on this side of the viraja, reality set in with fall downs, and the determined brahmacharis, seen their determination wasn't so strong as most of them got married. And so we don't hear so much nowadays in our movement about surrender, giving up material desires. We tend to hear more other instructions of Srila Prabhupada. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Live at home. You can live at home comfortably with your family and chant Hare Krishna. So that's also within the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, but we tend nowadays to emphasize the more live at home comfortably part. And chant Hare Krishna. And that's also the, and not so much on surrender and giving up material desires and not cultivating material desires. And we have imported, not in a gross way, but it seems in a subtle way, we have imported this sahaja mentality of that, well, you just get the mercy. You just chant and you get the mercy of Guru touches your head and then you get all the mercy and then you get instant Krishna prem. So it's true that Srila Prabhupada stated that, and it's a fact that you can live at home happily and comfortably and chant Hare Krishna and go back to Godhead, but it doesn't negate the fact that if one is materially attached, that you don't go back to Godhead, you get born again. It doesn't mean because Srila Prabhupada said, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, sthane sthita, or that grihe tako, bane tako, sada hari bale dako. There are many such statements, but it doesn't negate the fact, doesn't mean that next time round when Krishna speaks Bhagavad-gita, he'll have to leave this verse out. It didn't cease to be true. It's an eternal fact of this in this material world, that as long as one is attached to this material world and the so-called comforts and joys of life in this material world, that one cannot be fixed. The resolute determination for devotional service, the resolute determination to become free from this material world, it doesn't take place. So chant Hare Krishna and be happy is true. It's not in opposition to this statement, Bhogaishvarya Prasaktanam. But one can't take the chant Hare Krishna and be happy and just forget about this statement also. One has to see other statements of Shastra, such as Yehi Sangsparsha Jabhoga Dukha Yonea Evate Adyantavanta Koteana Teshu Ramate Buddha. This desire for bhoga, for worldly enjoyment, is simply a source of misery. Always was and always will be. So when you say be happy, it doesn't mean on the material platform. When we say chant Hare Krishna and be happy, we have to qualify that. That doesn't mean that chant Hare Krishna and live a life of sensual enjoyment, even pious sensual enjoyment. Actually, in this section of Bhagavad-gita, Krishna is specifically, although it can be this instruction, Bhogaishvarya Prasaktanam, etc. This can be taken in the context of any materialistic enjoyment, but Krishna is specifically speaking it in reference to persons, Vedavadarata, persons who are attached to the Veda Pushpita Vacha, the flowery words of the Vedas. In other words, very pious people who believe in reincarnation, who believe in the laws of karma, believe in the Vedas at some level, but they believe that the goal of the Vedas is to enjoy material life. In the very next verse, after this Bhogaishvarya, Lord Krishna says, Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjana Nidvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. He advises, don't be attached to those words of the Vedas which entangle one, by misunderstanding, entangle one in the three modes of material nature. Be aloof from the three modes of material nature. Be situated in your actual position, not in the duality that the attempt for material enjoyment brings, and be Atmavan, be situated in the self. So if we say chant Hare Krishna and be happy, we have to understand what that means. One has to be Atmavan, Nitya Sattvastaha. One has to be situated in one's constitutional position, which means service to Krishna, which means not trying to enjoy this material world. So these two statements, chant Hare Krishna and be happy, and this Bhoga Aishvarya Prasaktanam, they're not in contradiction to each other. They're to be understood in relationship to each other. Be happy means be happy on the spiritual platform, not trying to be happy on the material platform. And samadhi means not just giving up material desire, but being Krishna conscious. So don't take either statement too far or out of context. We say chant Hare Krishna and be happy, and we put more emphasis on being happy than chanting Hare Krishna, then we become interested in our own happiness on the material platform. Or if we put too much emphasis on giving up Bhoga and Aishvarya without developing a sense of Krishna consciousness, then we fall into the next trap. Maya's main trap for everyone is Bhoga and Aishvarya, be happy in this material world. And then when you see, that's the trap, okay, I'm going to get detached from that, then Maya, okay, time for trap number 2. Be detached, be aloof, don't be Krishna conscious. These two traps, the last snare of Maya is the idea of becoming one with the Lord. So neither statement should be taken too far. It's not that we shouldn't become detached from this world. That is absolutely true. And it's not that we shouldn't be happy. We say chant Hare Krishna and be happy, yes. But don't fail to be detached from this material world. Be detached from this material world, yes, but don't fail to be Krishna conscious. So either way, if we take these statements with the wrong emphasis and not understanding that we are meant to be servants of Krishna, then we're going to miss the point. And even we can chant Hare Krishna and be happy, and we're following Prabhupada's instructions. Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But we have to understand that what it means to be happy on the spiritual platform. Otherwise we'll become victims of sahaja ideas. Just like, for instance, there was one Vaishnava Sampradaya in which the reasoning went like this. It's changed now, it's not prominent now, but at one point, actually more than one Vaishnava Sampradaya, the reasoning was that, well, Krishna likes his devotees to be happy. So be happy, enjoy this world, and then that's service to Krishna. And one manifestation of that was the idea of Guru Prasadi. Everything is to be offered to the Guru. So that includes your daughters, your wives, your sisters. And then when someone is married in the Sampradaya, he can't enjoy the wife, but he can only take if it's Guru Prasad. So first the Guru has to enjoy, and then the disciple can enjoy. So these are extreme manifestations, actually very sinful manifestations, of how the philosophy of Bhagavad-gita can be misinterpreted and misunderstood. And in the name of devotional service, we come back to the same point of enjoying this material world. And the only difference is that instead of just being sinful, we become offensive also by doing it in the name of Krishna consciousness. But any attachment to this material world blocks our samadhi, or any desire for material enjoyment. It blocks our determination to become fully Krishna conscious. If we're not determined, then how are we going to become Krishna conscious? It's not easy to get free from Maya. It requires much determination on our part. Again, we could just think that, well, Guru will do everything for us. He'll just look at us with his merciful glance, and then that's all. And then I'll become Krishna conscious. But my dear friend, becoming Krishna conscious means being free of material desires. And if you don't want to be free of material desires, then Krishna may come and fall down at your feet, which he's not going to do, and beg you to give up material desires. And you still won't. If one is attached, if one is cultivating attachment to material desires, then you're gonna have the best guru in the world, and Mahabhagavat Paramahamsa, seeing Krishna face to face in Rasa Leela and crying constantly. I'm not sure if that's the best guru at all, but that's sometimes a stereotype, is thought that someone who's always talking about Krishna Leela and fainting on the path. But sometimes propaganda comes, you have to have a topmost Paramahamsa, Mahabhagavat. But okay, that's all right. But before you go to take lessons with Professor Einstein on physics, first of all you learn 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, and so someone who can teach you that is a suitable guru for you at that stage. So even less extreme manifestations of attachment to this material world, that binds us in this material world. Just like live comfortably with your wife, putting emphasis on that. This is not just for the karmis. We needn't think that, well, Bhogashvara Prasad, oh yeah, okay, that's for the materialists. But we should remember that for the last how many millions, billions, trillions, zillions, uncounted births, we've been karmis. It's not that, well, I very mercifully, I descended from the spiritual world, and for a short time I put on a leela of being a materialist, and then mercifully I joined this movement, and I'm here just to benedict you all, and you can all benefit from touching my feet. No. There might be one or two like this, but even if there are, they won't advertise like this. We've all been in this material existence for millions of births, and we shouldn't fall in another trap of Maya of thinking that, well, yeah, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, so I'm already there. We don't even know how deep and firmly rooted are our material desires. We become afraid to confront them, and therefore we make our philosophy. You just live comfortably with you. Srila Prabhupada says, you live comfortably at home with your wife, and you chant Hare Krishna. And, that's the important line. Live comfortably at home with your wife. And chanting Hare Krishna any way we're doing, that's easy. Live comfortably, you have to make so many adjustments you have to make. And then comes the idea that, well, first of all I have to live comfortably, and then we'll chant Hare Krishna. First we have to put so much effort into living comfortably. But then where is the vairagya? There has to be this sense of detachment from this material existence. That is called grihastha ashram. Ashram means one is living in the home specifically for the purpose of spiritual advancement. Now, the grihastha ashram is different from the brahmacharya ashram, vanaprastha ashram, and sannyas ashram. There's difference. There's some license for sense enjoyment, but it's not meant for sense enjoyment. It's meant for spiritual advancement. And without the cultivating a sense of detachment from this material world, then samadho navidhiyate, the resolute determination for advancement in devotional service won't come. So that one has to apply oneself to the process of hearing, associating with devotees. Associating with devotees, we may think, well, and I have my iPod and I can listen to lectures on my iPod, but association is also required. Association of devotees who are not just talking this, but living this. There's that American saying, you don't just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. You have to actually live it and do it. These big temples, they're meant for, main purpose is the preaching purpose of engaging people in devotional service and giving people the chance to associate with persons who can help to pull us out of the black hole. This idea of black hole, this is in modern astrophysics, but that's already stated in the Srimad. Sometimes we say, you see, there's metallurgy in Srimad Bhagavatam, and there's in the Vedic culture, and there's gynecology, and there's Vedic mathematics. Well, we also have black holes. It's a little bit different though. It's called Grihamanda Kupam. It's the dark well of material life. So these, of family life specifically. So this temple is specifically meant for giving people an impression of Krishna and the opportunity to associate with devotees who can help to pull them out of that hole. Now we may say, well, it's offensive to say that about Vaishnava families, but again, it's not that just one starts chanting Hare Krishna and then all of a sudden you lose all your material attachments and you're a Paramahamsa. That doesn't happen so quickly by the mercy. Actually, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, one can quickly become purified, but one has to take very seriously to that process. Tivrena Bhakti Yoga, and one has to take very intensely to the process of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it doesn't work in a very complete way. Just like, for instance, to shoot these rockets into space from Cape Canaveral, Cape Kennedy in Florida. They shoot the rocket into space. It's an overgrown firework. It's the same principle of you light a firework and it goes up, and you put a big fire underneath this rocket and it goes up. So to get out of the Earth's gravitational pull, at least this is what we hear from the scientists, although I tend to doubt everything they say. I'm not even sure if there's a gravitational pull at all. Anyway, that's another subject. But you have to have a sufficient blast. If you buy a rocket for Shivakasi firework, you put a little fire under it and it goes up. But it's a little thing which weighs how much? 100 grams or something like that. And you have a big space rocket and it weighs, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of tons. You need a big blast. Otherwise, it's not going to get out of the Earth's atmosphere. So in the same way, we have this big pile of heavy weight of material attachments, and to get blasted out of this Maya, we need a good strong blast. So therefore, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. Just yesterday I was speaking with some devotees. Krishnadas Prabhu was translating for me, and so I mentioned the word sincere, and of course I don't understand Tamil, which is why he was translating me, but he translated Tivramana, which I guess there's no real word exactly in Tamil for sincere. There's a reason for that also, but that's another discussion where it doesn't come in Sanskrit languages. But he translated it with the idea of one has to be very serious or intense and applied in devotional service. Tivra means with intensity. Otherwise, the word, if one is living at home with Bhogaishvarya, maybe just a little hut, but some bhog, some opportunity for enjoyment is there. And for the poor man, if he brings home a Coca-Cola for his children, that's Aishvarya. That's some opulence. I heard that this some man, he brought home a Coca-Cola for his children, farmer whose crops had failed. And they were surprised because they don't even get proper food. They thought this was something very good. So he shared it between all of them and took himself, and it was all poisoned because he was committing suicide with his whole family. Anyway, I just got the idea from that Coca, for many people, the high level of opulence is to provide a Coca-Cola for your family. So the same attitude is there, same feel. Even he may be a poor man, he has no opportunity for actual opulence, but still that desire is there. And what is not considered opulent for a rich man, for a poor man, that is opulence. So living at home, grihasta, grihamedhi, tied up like a bull to the pole, can't get away. There's this word means vistara, who expands the field of material enjoyment, or kamini, one who is full of desire and who incites desire. Of course, there are other words for women also, such as dharma patni, kulangana, sahadharmini, pativrata. These are terms for respectable women. Pativrata means they follow the guru, they follow the pati, they follow the husband, who follows the guru. That's the way the system's supposed to work. Of course, we know in the modern age it's often not so ideal. It may be that the wife is more Krishna conscious than the husband. So anyway, we're speaking on general principles here. Generally, the wife thinks she's more Krishna conscious than the husband. Whether it's true or not. And there's no real way to measure. Well, you can't measure like you can measure for instance, the temperature. But that is there. Bhakti parishanubhavo viraktiranyatra. This is the test of advancement. That one has attachment, bhakti for Krishna. But that is also, there's another part of that test also. Viraktiranyatra. One is detached from everything else. How does that verse go? Bhakti parishanubhavo viraktiranyatra. Prapadyamana. What's the next line? Trisha ekaka. Trisha ekakala. No, that comes at the end of the Yatasnata syush. Prapadyamana. I just can't remember the second line. Prapadyamanasya yatasnata syush pushti tushti kshuddhapayo naghasa. So that the example is given, if you're hungry and you're eating a meal, tushti, so I got it in the wrong order. One feels satisfied, one feels nourishment, and one's desire for food diminishes with every bite. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole verse. But in materialistic life, even if one is cultivating Krishna consciousness, if one is also cultivating material desires, then we don't feel the satisfaction that comes from full surrender to Krishna. That means if the female principle of enjoying this material world is prominent. I say female principle because Maya is a woman. It's the female principle of wanting to channel the master, the one who has the power, to channeling that power into my enjoyment. Whereas the real female principle is simply to surrender to Krishna and simply live for his pleasure. But if we follow the principle of acting according to the desire of the female who wants to enjoy this material world, then there's no samadhi, there's no happiness, there's no satisfaction. Our material desires do not diminish. So as I was saying, we don't hear this bhogaishvarya prasaktanam, we don't hear this verse mentioned much. It's maybe cruel, may sound very cruel for them to hear, but like as I said, it's not that because now we're preaching more to grihastas and congregational members that the philosophy of Krishna consciousness is changed, or that Krishna has to change the Bhagavad-gita. If we're not preaching these things, then what happens? Then instead of getting the clear understanding of Krishna consciousness, which is so enlivening, which we get when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, it's so clear and strong, and it distinguishes reality from illusion. But we don't get that. We remain confused. Or even if we're reading Srila Prabhupada's books and getting first prize in the Bhakti Shastri course and so on, but we're associating with and hearing from others who say that, well, all those heavy things, then, yeah, okay. But, you have to live happily in this world and all this kind of thing. Then we, instead of taking our Prabhupada straight, taking straight is an English saying, means just like if you get a bottle of whiskey, take it straight, means you don't mix it with soda water or anything else. Just take it strong. And I speak from experience, it's pretty heavy. Long time ago, not recently. So it really gives you a jolt, and it's not very pleasant unless you're accustomed to it. I won't take a survey of who else has experience of it. It's not important now that we've come to the shelter of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. But it may seem that these topics are very, very difficult to take, and just like children in Ireland, they used to give, I don't know now, they might be arrested for child abuse now, they used to give them, along with their brother's breast milk, Guinness, which is the strongest. It's beer, but it's not really beer. It's just completely black color and completely strong. And they think to be a real Irishman, he has to take Guinness from the beginning of life. So probably the baby screams, but they get used to it, and then they become a good alcoholic, like their father. So in the same way, to take Prabhupada straight, it may seem almost cruel, but ultimately it's not. It's our path to chant Hare Krishna and be happy. That happiness is something which is not imaginable, as long as we're trying to be happy by bhog, material enjoyment, and aishvarya, opulence. But that comes from, we have to hear about this and be convinced of this. Bhukti mukti spriha yavat pishachi hridi vartate. Tavat bhakti sukhasyatra katamabhyudhayo bhavit. Rupa Goswami sums up the whole situation, that the desires for material enjoyment and liberation from this world are like witches that are within the heart, and there's no question. Actually, he does ask the question. This verse is in the form of a question, a rhetorical question. It means the answer is clear from the question. How can we experience the happiness of bhakti as long as we have these witch-like desires within the heart? So this bhogaishvari, this is actually the first level. The next level is vairagya is also required, but bhakti ultimately means bhakti. But bhakti means surrender. Samadho nevidhyate. Srila Prabhupada translates this, that the samadhi he translates as the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Generally, that's it's understood in relation to the Eightfold Yoga system as the ultimate end of that. After this yama niyama, asana, pranayama, dhyana, samadhi, and I missed pratyahara. So you go through all these stages, and then you come to samadhi. But here Srila Prabhupada states that samadhi, that's just the beginning, the determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And if we don't get that at the end of all the yoga system, then it's a case of aradito, what is that? Aradito yadi haris tapasa tata kim. What's the use of your austerities unless we come to the point of worshipping Krishna? So, as I said, I started off this talk by saying these verses used to be often spoken within our society, and actually they should be repeated. At some point, probably around the early 1980s, there seemed to be a general mood within our society that, we already heard all these things so many times. You're not the body, surrender to Krishna. Yeah, okay, we already understood that. And then the classes started to change, and people tried to dig out all different stories from different Puranas, which no one had ever heard before. Or at that time, there were so many even pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu which weren't heard before, so it became a big thing to find out some stories that no one's ever heard before and tell them. And different style of classes changed. But we need to hear these things again and again and again. Just like Krishna did with Arjuna, as Srila Prabhupada writes in one of his purports in this Bhagavad-gita, as it is repetition of something is necessary to stress is important. So we'll find again and again and again in Bhagavad-gita, Krishna, sometimes he says some of the verses are almost identical. And then he'll, just like for instance describing the stithad pragya, he gives it, he says more or less the same thing or similar thing again and again and again throughout Bhagavad-gita. He comes back to different points. Repetition is necessary to properly understand the point. So Krishna hammering away at Arjuna that Krishna again he'd speak something and then he'd say, then you have to fight. And then Arjuna says, I don't want to fight. And then Krishna would come at another angle, and you have to fight. And you said, well, you said this, but actually it means that, and you're speaking. And then again, Krishna would explain, and it always comes, you have to fight, again and again and again and again makes the point you can't escape by all your philosophical manipulations or trying to get around it and being very clever and think that I'm better at explaining Shastra than you, Krishna. I understand better than you. So we have to be very careful of this. Like I said, the class is changed, or we put the emphasis somewhere else. For instance, talking about family life, nowadays we often hear that the most the thing that's emphasized is that the man has to be very sensitive to his wife. Although I never found anywhere in Shastra, or Prabhupada always said you have to be so sensitive to your wife, sensitive. Where does this come from? It doesn't come from Prabhupada's books or anywhere in Shastra or from the culture. I believe it comes from books like Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, which I didn't read, but I'm told that this kind of thing comes from there. It's got nothing to do with Krishna consciousness, and guess what? It's got nothing to do with reality either, because if it's not in Shastra, it's not real. It might seem like that if we take reality to mean living happily in this material world. But guess what? We learn from Shastra, there's no such thing as living happily in this material world, which is why we took to Krishna consciousness in the first place. And then we think, oh, really, these karmis have got some really good insights. Yeah, seems to work. You see the photo of the author and he's smiling with a picture of his wife. Of course, you don't realize it's his fifth wife. And we dovetailing, the Srila Prabhupada dovetailing. That means we dovetail our material desires in Krishna's service. It doesn't mean that we take the spiritual philosophy and dovetail it in our materialistic interpretation. And we nurture our material desires in the name of being Krishna conscious. It's Grihastha will say, it's easy for the sannyasis to say that. They don't realize what we're going through. Yeah, well, some realize. Some people realize by hearing and seeing. Others realize by experience, and most people don't realize at all. Most people, even though they've been kicked by the she-ass, if you've read Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gita as it is, you'll know this example. Despite being kicked repeatedly by the she-ass, they still think, well, a few kicks don't matter, but got to get what I need. So kick, and other people think that, better not get kicked. Or if we're going to be kicked, let us be kicked by or slapped by the Guru. Will slap out our material desires instead of the kicking as a preamble. If you want to fulfill your material desires with me, first you have to let me kick you. The Guru also gives us slapping, but that slapping is to don't go there, to slap us awake, so we can. Sometimes slapping is needed. Otherwise, you can't understand anything. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was rescued from the sea by the fisherman who thought he was a ghost, and he was wandering on the beach, feeling he was haunted by a ghost. And Sarup Damodar saw him and said, "Don't worry, I'm an oja," means I can take the ghost, and gave him 3 slaps. He said, "Now the ghost is gone." Then the man calmed down. Then he said, "Actually, that wasn't a ghost, that was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." He said, but he couldn't hear that unless he calmed down. He thought, now the ghost is gone. So sometimes that slapping is required. And actually, renounced life is best. Don't marry. For men, women are supposed to marry. For men, don't marry at all. Don't get entangled in all that. Or even you marry, can be fully Krishna conscious, but a real disciple means that he acts according to the terms and conditions of the Guru, not that he sets his own terms and conditions, or he acts according to the terms and conditions of his wife. It's much more possible for renunciants to do that. It's very difficult for grihastas to do that, because they do have so many material considerations. Therefore, if one wants to have no personal consideration, then he has to remain aloof from that license for sense gratification. It seems almost impossible for grihastas to fully give themselves in that way, but at least they have to understand that's what's to be aimed for, and to come to that level. because unless these unpleasant words are said, I can understand this might all sound very discouraging to grihastas, but all right, 99%, yes, very nice, very good, but sometimes you have to hear this also, that entanglement to home, wife, children and the rest, it blocks us from real understanding that we're supposed to be Krishna conscious. Sakta anabhishvanga putra dara grihadish. In Bhagavad-gita, Krishna describes among the symptoms of knowledge, one who has knowledge, a man in knowledge, he's not attached to home, wife, children, family, and the rest. These are the statements of Shastra. We can't discount them. We may think I'll put it off till later, but reality is with us now. Already I quoted, Grihamanda Kupam. Family life is like a dark well. If you go in the forest and fall in a dark well, and then you call up another saying, Aranya Rodam, calling out in the forest, help, help, there's no one to hear you. Dense, dark forest. Only the lions and tigers might hear you and come to eat you. So it's a deep, dark well, the family life. This Grihamanda Kupam, these words were spoken by Prahlad Maharaj as a young boy who later married, interestingly. Also Yudhishthira Maharaj, we find him describing himself as Griha Murhadhi, as a householder who's overcome by the foolishness. And of course Yudhishthira, we understand, he's a great devotee. So, again, one may be a devotee, like a Prahlad, a Grihastha devotee, as Srila Prabhupada several times stated in the 12 Mahajans, the 12 names who are given by Yamaraj, I believe 7 of them are Grihasthas. That is Swayambhu, means Brahma, is Grihastha. Swayambhu Narada, he's a brahmachari. Shambhu, he's a Grihastha. Shiva. Well, he doesn't have a house, so it's not really a Grihastha, but something like that. He's always in between. He's not Vishnu and he's not a Jiva. He's not. He's renunciant, but he's married. So he's anyway. Shambhu, he counts among the Grihastha. Shambhu. What's the next one? Kumara, they're brahmacharis. Kapila, brahmachari. Manu, grihasthas. Now it's 3-3. Tie is going on. Prahlada, grihastha. Janaka, grihastha. Bhishma, pretty committed brahmachari. He even fought with his guru, so he wouldn't get married. Then Bali, Vyasaki, it's 7-5. Bali is married, Vyasaki is not married in Srimad Bhagavatam, although in another form of him he's also married. Okay, then we come 6-6. But the Shukadev we have speaking to Prahlad, he's not married. To Parikshit, he's not married. Anyway, one can be in family life, and be Krishna conscious. But we have to hear such topics. Otherwise, there's no pushing to surrender and come to that point. Srila Prabhupada writes in a Gita Purport that the whole Vedic system, which means the Varnashram system, is to push one to surrender to Krishna. And that marriage is recommended for most, but we should also see the descriptions of materialistic family life and see how much does it apply to me. As I'm not I shouldn't think that I'm already on the level of a totally liberated person. How much am I tied up? The description of Kapila Dev, of the The materialistic man is like a puppet, the strings being pulled by his wife, the materialistic wife. So that may apply even among devotees. As I often say, it's not just by putting on some tilak and saying, I'm a devotee, that one actually becomes a devotee. Here, I'll just relate a little incident here, by tangentially. That was the morning after Nrsimha Chaturdashi. I was leading the Mangalarti Kirtan in Mayapur, Chandrodaya, Chaitanya Chandrodaya Mandir. And soon as I finished, I started saying the Jai Dhwani, Jai Om Vishnupa. And then one devotee standing next to me started talking loudly to the people he was on my right and there were some devotees on the left, who I guess they were organizing who leads the kirtan. He started berating them in Hindi. Tomorrow I'm going to lead the kirtan. You have to let me. And I said like this. I told him. He stopped for about 0.3 of a second, and then he went on telling, while I'm saying, Jai Om Vishnu, Mujhe chance dizzy. Just like a complete idiot, just like a child. I have to lead the kirtan. Let me lead the kirtan. No, he couldn't. He was waiting the whole way through the kirtan just so he could demand that tomorrow he'll be fixed up. So all the time we're having darshan of Radha Madhava and chanting the holy names, and he's just burning that I wanted to lead kirtan this morning. This rascal sannyasi came along and led and said, and I just completely, just stupid. I want to speak of being a devotee. I was just child, just like a little child. There's a fully grown man in body. So that's maybe a more extreme case, but we may all have so many desires which hold us back from resolute determination to serve the Lord. The wife, I was saying Dharma Patni, I was talking about the materialistic wife who pulls the strings, but the good wife, if she's fortunate to have a Krishna conscious husband, she should follow him in serving Krishna, and not this whole philosophy where you have to make the wife happy. Prabhupada also writes that. He said that no one can be peaceful in family life unless he becomes an obedient slave of his wife. But you have to understand that's meant for materialistic people. It's not. That doesn't mean that the wife says, "Oh yeah, okay, all right. Now I saw this in Prabhupada's book. I got it in my Bhakti Vaibhav class. It came up. So now I understand actually. So my husband has to become my obedient servant." See, Prabhupada said, otherwise there's no peace at home. And I have to preach it to all the others, also forgetting all the other stuff about the wife following the husband. No, you see, you have to understand, the wife following the husband, that's there, but the real thing is that the husband should follow the wife. And it just messes everything up. That I need this, I need that, and we have to maintain our dignity and prestige and have a bottle of Coca-Cola at least once a month to maintain our dignity as a when you bring the bottle of Coca-Cola home, you hold it up like this so everyone in the slum can see that we have a bottle of Coca-Cola. If you see that, you think it's stupid, don't you? But it's the same thing. Gold rings, silk saris, it's the same thing. It's just a different level of opulence, that's all. Just showing off, that's all. How much wealth we have. Just childish nonsense. So better, in Grihastha ashram means to become detached from this world. We may not say to everyone in the beginning, but Krishna consciousness is supposed to be progressive. Not that we come in, all right, in the beginning we say chant Hare Krishna and be happy. We don't define what that means. We may say, yes, you can live comfortably with your wife, but then you have to go on and read and hear and understand this material world is not a place of happiness. We have to become detached from it. How we become detached from it, that may that may be it may be a gradual process, but it has to be a process. If we're not in the process, then we're stuck. It's like if the car's not moving, it's stuck in the mud. You can be revving the engine and making a big noise, but you're going nowhere. We have to be moving, and yes, it has to be done very carefully, but there has to be a path that we come out from this, so that otherwise, like I said, we can just be stuck at the level of a materialist. Actually, Srila Prabhupada writes, he gives some astrological information in one of his purports. I believe it's in the 9th canto, when he says that there are 3 types of humans according to astrology. What are they called? Devagan is one. Is it Devagan is one? Manusha, Garna and Rakshasa. So Srila Prabhupada writes that some people, humans on this planet, some are godly. So if a godly boy marries a godly girl, they'll be happy. And if someone who's just like a normal human being, they marry someone like that, they'll be happy. And if someone's of demoniac nature, they marry someone else of demoniac nature, they'll be happy. So, but we don't want to be like demons, happy on that level. We have this philosophy and in Prabhupada's books. It's so worth striving for. It's really the verse is there. Prastasmat bhavanyo vyakto vyaktad sanatana yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu navinashyati. There's another existence beyond this material world. Everything in this world is destroyed, but that is not destroyed. So this teachings of Bhagavad-gita takes us to this place, and it is this very knowledge. It's on a completely different level to anything of this material world, and we're just stuck because of our petty desires for material enjoyment and opulence. So the husband should take charge. Himself should be detached from this world. And the wife should follow. And the husband should not let the wife dictate that now, yes, we need this, we need that. There's no end. There's no end to material desires. Just take this, be satisfied. Chant Hare Krishna. This idea, equal rights, men and women have equal, is just another symptom of Kali Yuga. And there's no equal, because once the woman is given the license to dominate in terms of what she wants, there's no end, because she's free. She expands. There's no end. She can go on expanding until she has the whole universe. But of course you won't get anywhere near whole universe. So she'll always be dissatisfied. So the husband is supposed to be more intelligent and control. That no, you do like this. And the culture is supposed to be that girls are trained from the beginning. You just follow, that's all. That will be better for you. Just follow. Do what you're told. If you say like this nowadays, then it won't be accepted very well. But it still remains a fact. Even if people don't like it, it still remains a fact. They may say, well, you see, the women are very intelligent also. And yes, there are many intelligent women, but spiritually, hardly. Very difficult to find who's actually spiritually very intelligent. Of course, it's very difficult to find men also who are spiritually intelligent. But therefore we have to take this knowledge and teaching from Bhagavad-gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Srila Prabhupada, and take this intelligence. Intelligence means the ability to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong, what is actually good for us and what is not. So always Maya is speaking to us like this. If we could just have little material comfort or a little material adjustment, then we can do Krishna consciousness very nicely. And that's true for everyone except the pure devotees. Everyone requires some material facility. If we were, for instance, if we were just stuck out in the middle of the desert in Rajasthan with no food and no water, and it would be very difficult for us to be Krishna conscious. Of course, it would be very difficult to stay alive at all, very long in such a situation. So we all require something. Having an ashram in which people can come and live, that facilitates Krishna consciousness. So we require, without that it's difficult to be Krishna conscious, so we make the ashram. But just what's required, no more. The intelligence of the grihastha should be to see what is actually required and not endeavor for more and more things. This is one of the 6 factors which blocks our progress in Krishna consciousness, to this endeavor to attain material things which we don't really need. And the whole modern society is producing more and more things that we don't need, which we think we need. Yesterday I received an email from a godbrother who sent me a link saying that Steve Jobs didn't let his children use iPads. The man who made them doesn't let his children use them because he thinks it's bad for them. It's bad for their character. So, but it's become a need for everyone. Every child. We're going to the Gurukul. We don't have cell phones. All the children outside have cell phones, and we're being deprived. But he said himself, because when one journalist asked him that, how do your children like the iPad and the iPod or whatever? And he said, I don't let them use it. He was surprised. Why not? He said, I want to grow up with some character and actually interact with people instead of just with machines. So, that's true for devotees also. Some things we can learn from these foolish people who waste their life making iPads, and at least he got rich from it. And we're just making him rich. Of course, he's dead and gone now. Some things Krishna inspires materialistic people to say some things which we can also learn from. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he sometimes quoted sayings, best use of a bad bargain. It's not exactly from Shastra, but it's applicable to Shastric knowledge. Okay, some other points to consider as we're on the nasty class day. Quote from Chanakya Pandit that Srila Prabhupada would sometimes quote, Mata yasya grihe nasti bharya chapriya vadini aranyam tena gantavyam yatagriham yataranyam tatagriham. That if the mother is not in one's home and the wife speaks displeasingly, then should go to the forest. Gantavya. Gantavya means destination, the forest. Why? Because we're saying, the forest is horrible. There's no cooked food, no proper place to eat or sleep. It's very dangerous, and with all wild animals. But yataranyam tatagriham, it's the home life is also just as bad. So better go to the forest. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes quote that. And actually he would often quote also Panchas Urdhvang Vanang Brajet. At the age of 50 one should go to the forest, which Srila Prabhupada said one should go for Vanaprastha life. One should make a plan that now I'm stuck with all this situation of looking after the children and the wife and on and on. And there has to be some escape plan. There has to be some way when I, at some point, some cut-off point, where I'm just not stuck here forever. I have to get out at some point in time. Don't remain. Because you may think, the children will get older and then I'll be more free to do bhakti. Yeah. Some devotees do that. You see the husband and wife, they serve full time together. That's vanaprastha life. That's also, but there has to be some plan. Otherwise, as Srila Prabhupada said about Dhritarashtra, he said, at that time there was one Dhritarashtra, but now there are many Dhritarashtras. That means they remain up till the last point of their death, last point of their life, their living death, so they remain attached to Bhoga Ishvarya, and therefore Samadhi doesn't take place. So, yeah, these may be tough to hear. You may think, well, I already did so much. I already surrendered so much. I'm chanting Hare Krishna, and I give donations, and I gave up meat and fish and eggs and watching TV, and he's still not satisfied. The wife isn't satisfied, and the Guru is never satisfied either. He's always asking for more and more and more and more. Yeah, well, it's either one or the other. Those who have the tendency to surrender, if you don't want this, don't even imitate the tendency to surrender, because you'll be pushed more and more and more. If you don't show any tendency to surrender, just chant Hare Krishna and be happy and leave it at that, then we won't push you, and you can remain in your bubble of thinking you're Krishna conscious when you're not. But those who have the tendencies to surrender, they will be pushed. I already gave this, I already did this. Okay, but what about that? Well, there's only a small thing, right? You have to get rid of that. So no, some we just smile and say, oh, very nice. Oh, my children are chanting 1 round a day, and they can say 2 or 3 shlokas from Bhagavad-gita. Oh, very nice, very good, very good. Smile at them and be nice. But for others, no so-called mercy. Push. Come. Okay, you came 1%, now come more, come more, come more. The more you come forward, the more you'll get pushed. Srila Prabhupada was pushed out of Vrindavan to the Western world, to the Bowery of New York with drunken people, and pushed by his Guru. Of course he did that. Well, he said, there's one lecture, he said, actually I'm not happy here. And some woman saying that we don't know who it is, yes, I can see that, she says. Says, my real home is in Vrindavan. But why have I come here? It is my duty, Srila Prabhupada said. Because my Guru has ordered. So he was pushed, and we're so grateful to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that he pushed Srila Prabhupada. So we should also push ourselves and push others. They may or may not like it, but it is required. Of course, we may say, well, reality for most people is chanting Hare Krishna, but yeah, we have to get the kids to school, and we have to get them married, and yeah, that's the pressing reality that most of our grihastas face. But still, we have to consider labdva sudurlabhamidang bahusambhavante manusham arthadam anityam apihadhira turnam yatedana patedanamrita yavan nishriyasaya vishaya kalu sarvatasya. This human form of life is very rare. Now we got it. It won't last very long. Before inevitable death, we have to do whatever is required so we don't get born again. You're saying, well, little sense gratification. You already had it millions of times. You can get it again millions of times. Birth after birth. Now is the chance to get free. Then another similar verse we should consider. Everyone should consider. Hrideham adyang sulabhang sudurlabham tavan sukalpo guru karna dhara mayanukulyena nabhasvateritam puman bhavabdhim natared sa atmaha. This human form of life is like a very good boat for crossing over the ocean of ignorance, actually bhava is for the ocean of repeated birth and death. The Guru is a very good captain, and Krishna's instructions in Shastra They're like the favorable winds for propelling the boat from here to the other shore. So anyone who has all these opportunities but fails to cross the ocean of material existence is committing suicide. So we should consider all these points very seriously. Hare Krishna. You said you had some question you wanted to ask? In the old tradition of temples, temples were run by grihastas generally. You just told me about your happy experiences in Guruvayur, where the grihastas, it's all done by grihastas. It's not run by brahmacharis or sannyasis. So your question is, well, how grihastas need something for maintenance, then how do we do that without compromising the mood of bhakti? You told me how you'd seen in the kitchen that someone will go in there and wash the pots for 10 hours every day, and they're not doing it because they need of course they need their family maintenance, but they're not doing it. Both things are there, but they want to serve Krishna. They have a very strong motivation to serve Krishna. How can we establish such an atmosphere that otherwise we find out we give to grihastas some allowance so that they can do their service, but they may have a materialistic attitude, so someone comes along from another temple and sees someone's a good pujari, so they say, here, I'll offer you more. So they go from one temple to another because they get more money. Or some years ago in England, I was told by the then temple president in the central London temple that just to make things legal, they had to register everyone, legally employ people, and then they had to pay taxes and all this. So that's how you have to do it. You just can't give some money out of the collection box in England, and it may come like that in India, the way things are going also. So Jan Master, the pujari, married pujari, he was getting something, and you have to give them at least the minimum wage. So Janmashtami, then he was busy up till 1 o'clock in the morning, and a couple of days later he came in the office and put in a requisition for overtime because he'd been working longer hours. Mundane mentality. How to avoid that? I think it can only be done by preaching and creating an atmosphere in which we're doing everything for Krishna. Otherwise, it's very easy to run a temple just by paying people, and then it's easier to enforce discipline. You don't do it, and then you're in danger. Just like in an office or factory, if you don't follow the discipline, then you don't get promotions, and you may lose your job. But then it becomes perfunctory. There's no bhakti. It's easy and efficient to run a temple by paying, but the whole point of it, which is bhakti, it's neither the participants in such an operation, they don't get bhakti, and there's no question of spreading it to others. So it's a difficult thing. In many traditional temples, they give pujaris and others a fixed amount of prasadam every day. They may sell that themselves. Just like at Nathdwara, or even certain merchants, they're given there's an agreement which they do generation after generation. That's still there among Brahmins in India, those who are actually practicing as Brahmins. They have the thing that, say you're giving prasad and they take the rate and they just take it. They're not, for a Brahmin who's actually supposed to be living as a Brahmin, to show any greed or desire, or if someone gives them some dakshina, they don't look at it to see how much it is. At least they have to show some sense of detachment. And many are cultivating that also. Otherwise they would, in many temples there wouldn't be anyone doing any service, because in many temples it's not financially lucrative to do so. So it's really a matter of preaching and creating that atmosphere. Here also, you're always going to have many brahmacharis, I presume. Anyway, let's see how things develop. It's very tough in Kali Yuga, where everything is so much money-oriented. And even within our own ISKCON, there's so much money. If you show more money, it's considered better. Why? Either as a project, we have a 72 crore project, and that makes you better than someone who's looking after children and raising them in Krishna. It doesn't make you better. It's foolish to think like that. Or individually, I'm earning 10 lakhs a month, and someone's not earning 10 lakhs in 5 years, and you think you're better. Very contaminated consciousness. So what's the answer? There's no easy answer. There's no dial, press the buttons and then you get the number. It's something which has to be cultivated continuously. First of all established and then cultivated continuously. And therefore the kind of class which I just gave is also required. It's not just all good feeling, we're all devotees and all smile at each other and be nice. Actually, those who say that, we often find that behind the scenes there's so much politics going on between them. Because they didn't get the formula of how to actually live nicely with others. The formula is to be selfless, which is only possible if we give ourselves to Krishna. But if we're cultivating material desires to show ourselves to be very big, or any such thing, then there'll be envy and competition. You can have dozens of seminars on being nice, smiling, and all this kind of thing, but it doesn't remove the dirt from the heart. Then, anything else? All right, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.